Hello, all, and welcome to the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Coolbaugh. Today, I have a very special guest, Wolf Golan. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you so much for reaching out. It took me forever to get season four recorded and published due to work and my little guy. So I'm so happy that we could get you on for season five. I always try to accommodate people the next season. Now I actually am like so full for season five. I'm doing like extra episodes, and then I'm also doing like lives in the winter and spring. So it feels good to be at like full capacity. Like I don't have to like ask people anymore. It's kind of nice. Like you guys just kind of make my schedule for me at this point, which my son's about to turn 3. So I really appreciate the help with everybody contacting me. So thank you so much for reaching out and for chatting with us today about your writing and your books. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, we'll start there with that first question. What has your writing journey been like up until this point?
Uh, I'm sorry, there's a vehicle that went by. Um, I just mute temporarily. That's a loaded question.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah,
By an
yeah.
author, season 1.
What was that?
That question was given to me by an author season 1. He goes, "Oh man, I want you to ask me this because I've been thinking about it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I just asked him, and I got some really good answers. So now this is the first question I open up with every time. We always get a really unique answer.
Well, mine is just really long, so I'm trying to find a way to shorten it.
Hey, good time.
Yeah. It's been like 28. It took 28 years to write the whole series. It's a 5-book series, but right now I'm just promoting the first 3 books as a trilogy, which it is. It started out, believe it or not, as a high school project by
Oh,
a high school teacher that was a big sci-fi buff, and really got me into sci-fi. Um, uh, and It was one page, just, the story originally, and then it turned into basically a 3-novel epic, fantasy epic,
cool.
and that turned into a 5-book series, and it took like uh until 2023 to finally put it out, and I put it out, and came at the just at the right time. I regretted that it took so long, but now I
Mm,
don't, because of 2 reasons. One, all the advantages are there of how I really wanted the world to
yeah.
see my vision, because AI has just been amazing and captured excellently my vision of the characters and the world, and the scenes, the heart moving scenes. The AI just did, oh my God, it's just A1 job of recreating it. And I used a lot of that. And secondly, there's a lot of advantages for independent authors to become successful in um, putting out the book the way they wanted, and it went through 3 publishers. One was a husband and wife small publishing firm. I wish to actually go with them. They were really cool. They were out of Albuquerque. But I guess I forget who, but one of them got in a car accident, unfortunately, and then the other had health problems. They had to shut their press down,
Oh,
and so I had
suits.
to move. Yeah, I know. It was just it kind of, yeah, it was a bummer, because I really wanted to go with them, because they had to circuit down too with the Comic Cons in the Southwest area from LA to Albuquerque, and
Oh yeah.
that was my big break right there. But it just literally crashed, like literally, because again, like the car crash, and
Yeah.
so I had to move on. And then few years, that was in 2015, and then like a few years later in 2018, a publisher out of Webster, New York, super indie publisher. When I say indie, I mean independent, like me. Super indie publisher. He was actually Native American like me, so that was kind of a little advantage. Uh, and so he published it, and I went with it. Uh, and I did a reading in Manhattan, which was pretty amazing, you know, all the way from a small rural town in Alaska where the story started all the way to reading at a community center in the middle of Manhattan right before
Cool.
Christmas. And I mean, I was like, wow, how did I get here, you know? And so that was amazing. I was living in Manhattan at outer suburbs like Long Island at
Okay.
the time, trying to break in because I'm a screenwriter too,
Oh,
um,
cool.
sometimes actor. So that was great. Yeah, he was great. You know, I enjoyed being with him as a writer and him as a publisher. You know, however, um, I noticed he he didn't have an editor, and um, there wasn't a lot of attention paid to like detail in terms of
Mm.
like errors in terms of presentation, you know.
I do know, yeah. My friend had his previous publisher put out this just it was a very I'm like I asked him, I was like, is that your cover? And he's like, no, this is the publisher. I was like, you're with a publisher and they put that cover. And he's like, yeah, why?
Exactly.
I was like,
That's
I
it.
would never I'm like, I got my friend did $75 and it looks great. I'm like, we're gonna change it a little bit. It's a little too it goes into a different genre, I think, than we're trying to like go in between. But like we're gonna tweak it from the original, but like I $75 looks great. And I'm like, this was like it was I mean, so my kids on Adobe Express or Canva in my high school, and they're very talented, but like each of them could make you a better cover. And I was really surprised. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I've seen, you know, just different stuff like that. Like, yeah, people not paying attention to detail or, you know, they're trying to edit themselves, but they're, you know, they're not an editor, you know, and they don't have the skills, but they're trying to hold the company together that way, which I totally get. But yeah, they're just, yeah, I've seen definitely quite a few of those kind of companies. So I totally get it.
That's exactly what the problem was. You just hit it on the head right there. Yeah, the covers weren't great, and my mentor looked at his website, and there wasn't much of a marketing program too.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about marketing because for example, my mentor, his name is David. He's an award-winning sci-fi author, and he said, "Well, I went to the website, and you know, he's had an author out just 2 months ago, and I don't see a presence on Google. I don't see reviews, you know, and so automatically that tells me, you know, yeah." So I don't want to badmouth. Well, I didn't say who he was, so I guess I can get a little liberal here. uh, so right there, he said right there, I just know automatically he has a very this organization has a very poor marketing program, and
Yeah.
I learned a lot about marketing right there. Right there. I was like, wow, you're right. I worked on a political campaign and it kind of works the same way. Time is of the essence and you need certain things in certain places right away. If not, there's going to be no movement, no wheels on your campaign or your marketing. And I was like, this sounds a lot like political campaigns because I volunteered in college, you know, on a few of them, and he said, yeah, he said you could say that, and I was like, yeah. So learned a lot about marketing right there, and I had to just part ways with this person, you know. I don't want to like bash him too much. He was trying to run it through his basement, you know, his man cave. He was
Yeah.
trying to run through. Yeah, so
I mean, I totally get it. Like my thing is though, is that like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. My mom's an interior
his
designer, so
his heart was in the right place, but yeah,
yeah, I've seen people like, you know, they're trying, like they really try to put the covers together. Let's just say covers, right, for these kind of companies, and but like they might just not have an eye, right? My mom was trying to remind, she's like, you know, like she trained me for a long time. I was originally going for like illustration, for college and stuff. Like that's what I really wanted to do is like illustrate comic books and write them. So, that's why I always focus, you know, my time and energy on was like design. So. I try to remember, right, that not everybody has an eye for typography and, you know, colors and stuff like that. But I've seen some companies where, yeah, like the person's trying to be the cover designer, the typographer, the editor, and the marketer, you know, all these things, and the agent all at the same time. And that's how a lot of these, you know, smaller companies got, or these bigger companies got from smaller companies to bigger companies, you know, is the grind. But I also think there needs to be some, you know, intentionality, organization, and skill behind it as well. So yeah, I mean, I was almost signed up with a, what do you call it? Whatever, a press. And I asked Paul S. Kemp, who was a Forgotten Realms author. I just happened to be friends with him on Facebook. I was like, hey, what do you think? He's like, oh, that's just, a vanity press. They're just trying to get your money and stuff. So I was really grateful that, he said that. But they didn't even have really an online presence like today, right? Like now, people just put up a website. Some people, right, just put up a website, a Facebook profile, and they kind of just go from there. And they try and build the company from, the author or creative's perspective, right? But some are really out there trying to do, their best and trying to build up. So it's hard, right, to distinguish between the two, I think. So I think you guys be careful, but also go, with, I don't know. I think there's a lot of intentionality there. So maybe if people know that person, I got burned from that actually with an editor because everybody knew the person, and I went and then I had to find a different one, and I found a great developmental editor in Sarah Torn. So I was really grateful, but it kind of stunk. I just had my money taken the first time for no reason. So I also get why people, are, hesitant on that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so it taught me a lot about the indie world, that experience. Yeah, and then the third publisher, I don't want us to burn up. How much time do we have, by the way? I'm
Oh,
not
it's
getting all
fine.
the
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, like an hour. It's fine.
Oh, okay. So the third publisher was very successful actually, and he was out of Alaska like me. I'm joining you from Alaska, by the way. Yeah. So the third publisher was a really huge publisher, and it claimed to have worldwide like reach because of his success of his books, his indie books. So he started his own publishing company, and I think he really was because he gave me like a $2,000 pre-royalty check or whatever, and right away I was like, wow, this guy's a real deal, and had me set up to go to Las Vegas right away for the next Comic Con in like 3 months, and I thought that that was obviously my big break right there, right? And you think everything would have you think it would have been easy sailing, but then his editor out in New York, she uh she went through Chandera book one and she sent it back to me, and I hated it. I didn't like what she did to the characters. She made them look like really bad, and she took out a lot of Alex's scenes too, the leading lady, and she means a lot to me, even though she's fictional. I tell people this and people like this story. I had my heart broken. That's the reason I dove into this book. I wanted to be married like
Yeah.
and uh, it didn't happen, unfortunately. But to escape that, I dove into this book, and that's how I wrote it. So I did get a
Mm.
book out of all the heartbreak. I mean, at least I didn't like
More than
drink.
I got.
Yeah, yeah. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So, uh,
They want you to change particular characters, and you don't
oh
agree.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. Alex, yes. Thanks for reminding me. No, that back, yeah, yeah. Back to Alex. She took out a lot of her scenes, and she means a lot to me because she really cheered. Even though she's fictional, she really cheered me up, and she's
yeah.
special to me, and even though she doesn't exist. And so I protected her, I protected her. I was like, nope, I want her scenes to stay in there, they mean too much to me personally. And they wouldn't compromise, and then it got back to the publisher here, and he said, what did you say to her? She's saying you're not being reasonable. I was like, I'm trying to be as reasonable as I can, and uh I don't like making myself look like the good guy. But maybe I was being unreasonable, but Daniel, I could not compromise. I just could not compromise.
Yeah.
And he didn't compromise, and he said, well, we're gonna have to part ways. And I was like, well, I guess that's it. Then I don't want to go back to poverty, but I want to protect his vision. And I was aware of how much power and advantage that indie authors have nowadays too. Like you know what? If it doesn't work out with this guy, I could still really get this book out there with all the tools they have nowadays. And
Yeah, I mean, also
and
with like a Kickstarter, you could literally just, yeah, and at any point, if you don't like something, you could just fix it and then
exactly, yeah.
yeah,
Like
you
20
don't even
years
really.
ago, 20 years ago, us authors didn't have that. We had to listen to the publisher, because
Yep.
they monopolized it,
Yep.
the publishing, But nowadays we don't have to. It's like, okay, if that's the way you feel, we can just part ways, and I'll do my own thing because I could just market it on my own, and
Yep.
Amazon ads gave me $200 credit. So, and not only that, Daniel, we could even choose the audience we want to market it to, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
For example, I chose to market it to my ethnic group first, and then go to the wider world, which your first step in, which was Native American people. And
Oh,
it's so good I did this, Daniel, because I found out that there is not really a marketing program for Native American communities across the US, because I called all
mm.
the schools, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, I zigzagged the country from Maine, Florida, New York, all the way to Georgia, then back and forth. And so I found out from most of my calls that uh, the publishers never reached this particular population. You
Mm.
know, I was the first
Yeah,
one. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise. You know, because if I got published by Tor or one of the big boys or this guy, I would have just left it to them and stayed in ignorance. As, oh, they'll get it to the people I
yeah. Mm.
want them to get it, because
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted this book to get to Native American youth, because we we have a severe lack of good modern lit like this. You know, it
Oh, yeah,
shows
yeah.
it just, yeah, that really has this great representation in science fiction fantasy. You don't see this out there. I looked, I didn't see anything. Like, yeah, there's like one or two, but
Yeah.
uh
Yeah, there's another issue with that too, is that like, yeah, like people like this came up on a live just because you mentioned it. Like I have a Native American characters, right, for my urban fantasy. And like I and I totally get it, right? Like when you're not part of an ethnic group, you like a lot of people don't want to write about that ethnic group. But to me, like there's so many that are. I'm a history teacher, so to me, everybody else is so interesting. Like I don't want to write Irish. No offense, anybody. My family's like 45% Irish. I want to write Irish. I don't want to write, like German. I don't want to write Polish, Czechoslovakian. Like they're all great, right? Like maybe Polish, Czechoslovakian in ancient times would be cool, but you know what I mean? Like I want to write about other groups of people because when I'm writing about them, I'm learning about them. But I've seen this thing where, like people, I talked to an author recently, and we talked about this, is like, he won't write from a perspective of somebody else who he's not a part of, which I get, right? Because he's fearful that he's not going to do them justice, and I'm like, well, I'd rather just find somebody from that group, multiple people, to make sure I'm, really representing characters well. But I think that I totally get, right, where people want to do justice to a character. They don't want to do token characters. I don't think you should, or do ableism, with different characters, from different communities, with certain needs and stuff. But I do think that when we don't write about those characters and people are afraid to write about those characters, it leads to what you just said, right? Is that, you're just not going to get those kind of characters from those different groups as much as you normally would. I think anybody should try and write anybody well, right? I'm not a woman, I'm a man, but I want to write. I've been really focusing on making my female characters, or any characters, right, just like really unique. And I think it's leading to a really decline in the industry for certain groups, like you mentioned. So I hope people take up characters, that they're not a part of in those groups, or, just to try and, really bring them to life and do them justice. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's had negative impacts on the industry for certain, groups of people. So,
yeah. However, that was overdone, marketing and promoting it to Native American communities. I finished that about last year, I think. It took about a
yeah,
couple of years. Yeah, so I'm trying to. You're one of my first steps in trying to market it to the broader society. And I was going to think about reapproaching the sci-fi publishers, and I got turned down by lots and lots of agents in New York. And what I found out,
welcome
I
to the
found some.
club, buddy.
What was that?
I said, welcome to the club. I
Yeah,
haven't done it yet. Like I'm actually preparing a query at some point for a couple
I
things, just
know. I'm
just to
so
get
burned out with
the
queries.
badge of courage on there, just to get the
I
reject,
know.
to
I
see
know.
if we're in the
Well,
club.
yeah. Well, I am touching on this topic as a way to answer your question too. What it answers two questions of me, how hard I'm trying to get published. But secondly, so I got rejected by like, geez, like 60 agents, and I'm just burned out. But I have to reshape my query. One agent in New York took pity on me and replied back. They don't do this, but she took pity on me and she replied back. She said, you know, you'd have better luck if you would I understand how noble your effort is to promote severely underrepresented people, you know. However, uh most publishers, most agents are not going to care about that. All they're going to care about is like the money and how successful this book is going to be, period, you know. So focus on that, she said. And I was like, wow. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Even though it's extreme, like even you're interested, you know, but even though it's extremely interesting how I'm leading the way for a people that my people that were really, really under basically invisible in this genre up until now, until my book. Even though it's groundbreaking, it's still not enough to appeal to publishers and agents, which I want to do now because I'm trying to promote the book to the general society now, you know?
That's
Uh,
me sounds like an indie book, my friend. And there's so many, like, look at Will White, right? Cradle
yeah,
breaking. Look at, sci-fi fantasy. Uh,
I know. Now that I'm going to the general, I feel like I'm in a little fish in the ocean, you know? I'm like, okay, where do I start? There's tons of sci-fi authors like me, you know, and like, how do I make myself stand out? And yeah,
yeah, I think it's I mean, it's really difficult, like to be seen in the algorithms. I used to have
yeah, because a
like
lot of
all
people,
three. Yeah.
unfortunately, they don't share your intrigue with the Native American part of it, you know? They don't share your intrigue, you know? A lot of people, unfortunately, you know, they just want a really good sci-fi story. And so I think it's a good sci-fi story. And I'm trying to like reshape my queer letter and the campaign and the way I talk about it in interviews like this to where it appeals to the general society. And I did a third edition where I added a chapter with the non-native characters, the text, you know, they're fixing the ship. So maybe that could like draw in some non-native audiences, non-native American audiences too. And so, yeah, it's exciting, but at the same time, it's really daunting and extremely challenging because, like you just said, you
Yeah.
know, dime a dozen, you know, say sci-fi indie authors. Just put in sci-fi and you in Amazon, you'll get like 100 sci-fi authors just like me that has
Yeah, it's
just as
harder with
good an art
sci-fi
as me.
fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think it's interesting though, like, I don't know. I always think like branding's difficult, right? But like, there's been I can't think of that the book is called. It's right on my shelf, or the author, but like I just love the cover. It's a Native American sci-fi book, and he's like on the cover, kneeling down, and has this like awesome like wolf-like creature with him. And it has this like amazing like laser rifle. It's so cool. I bought it it was $5. I bought it, and like I just love the cover. Like it's amazing. So yeah, I think sometimes it just has to do with like what the branding is. It'd be cool like to think about like
What's the name of that book actually? That sounds interesting.
I go buy it every day. Like I actually flipped it over so I could actually so the spine wasn't on my bookshelf, so I could
Uh-huh.
actually see it. And I'm just like totally blanking today. But just remind me, I will find it for you. If anybody wants to know, let me know because it's really cool.
Yeah,
I
like I
haven't
said,
read it in like 8 years because this is like no, oh my god, 10 years because I got it when I was in Arizona when I met my wife. And then we moved up here. Yeah, so it's been a while. It's on like my done shelf now. But yeah, let me know. I'll send it to you. But it is like
okay.
it's so cool. Like just the cover alone like gets you. But
It
I've
wouldn't
seen
happen to
people
be
do character art. You
yeah.
know,
It wouldn't
I
happen to
don't
be
know.
called Beastmaster, would it? Beastmaster? Is that the name?
Um,
No, never mind. You don't have to look it up. I just want to, because I heard there's a series about like a Native American guy on a different planet that's raising like animals that were taken from
God,
Earth.
that's
Because yeah,
okay.
like Earth was blowing up, and he's like trying to like take care of the animals or something. So, but it was written by a Caucasian woman in the 50s, I think. That sounded interesting, but I don't have time to. I didn't have time to like get it and read it. But yeah, yeah, we can move on to the next question.
Yeah, you want
Yeah,
to tell us about your books? That'd be great.
yeah. So Chandera, it's a three-part trilogy. It's about a guy. It's sort of like Beastmaster. Well, not actually, not really. It's
I love
completely
you.
different. Yeah, it's well, there's that popular movie, then there's that book series. Yeah. But my book is very different. It's the way I describe it in one word is it's basically Lord of the Rings with a Native American Aragorn. uh that's the best I could describe it. It's about
I
this
think that's all you need to say.
yeah.
Everybody, us, we can go all. We're done. Sweet. Good job. Oh, actually, wait. Everybody's got to review it first. Sorry. And then I don't know how you're not selling after saying that. Like, like honestly, that should be all you have to say in a quick.
I said that on national TV and it still didn't get any sales. Not national TV, national radio. It still didn't get any sales. Yeah.
Sorry, just as an aside, I just want to point out, I have a friend and his covers are amazing, right? His blurb's awesome. And he's getting out there, right? But there are just sometimes little things that like he won't put a link, right, to his book, or he'll just put a link, right? Or there's just little, I find a lot of times it's little things that people are doing that are making them successful that you would never know. And there's little things you aren't doing that that not you, but like other people, right? Like if you're listening or watching this, maybe you're like, oh, I'm not really getting what I want. I really want people to think like, what are you doing and how you're doing it, right? And I said to my friend, he was doing a couple things. I go, wait, check this post out. I go,
Well, that's exactly
it's really little things that add up,
that's exactly what I was saying with the agents in New York. It was just that one little tweak
Yep.
that I didn't know about. Is the reason they were all turning it down.
Hmm.
Yeah, just shaping it
Interesting.
that it to just a normal sci-fi book and not mentioning, the interesting and important element of the severe underrepresentation in the genre, but I didn't know they didn't care about that. I mean,
So
yeah,
weird.
because I guess I know it is weird. It's like they turn their human side off to be agents and publishers, and you have to appeal to that.
Well, it's weird because it's like you have so many of the same people. Like, like if you look at like, oh my God, Rebecca Roanhorse.
I was
Black.
going to mention her. Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved her. Trial of Lightning, like, was such. There were a few things that, like, the characters were great. There was a few things about the story, like I gave it like an 8.5 out of 10 on a hard scale. But yeah, but the world was so great. The characters were amazing, especially the two main characters. And then the way that she used like Native American lore mythology to build this world it was incredible.
Yeah,
He
see,
was like,
yeah,
why don't you want more people like that? Like more books like
I
that.
know
We
exactly,
get the option
exactly.
the other day. Yeah, I want the flavor
They're
that,
they're so they're so weird because I was emailing directly the head publisher of Tor, who is a woman, a few years ago, CEO of Tor. I told her all about the novel, all about my indie campaign. She still rejected me. I was like, I don't get it. I mean, this is really needed. Not just with Native American people, with everybody. Because
yeah.
yeah, because people
Like
want to see this.
I have like an entire like Peloponnesian fantasy that like I've been working, like epic fantasy. I haven't talked a lot about it to anybody because I have a lot of really cool things that I'm working on, but I know it's going to be like the thing. Like once I get it worked out, I'm not even at the right writing level yet to write it fully. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of research, and I'm like, God, this just sounds amazing. So, and like that's like something I would want to write or read, so that's why I'm writing it, right? So to me, like I'm saying that it's really weird because like there are so many great underrepresented groups, right, who have been in both fantasy and sci-fi. I mean, I don't know. I just think that's weird. Like oh, I'm gonna blank on the author, but like Binti was amazing, like novella and like great sci-fi, and I don't know, there were just so many cool things, and in that book, like the main character with her people, like they have particular like like mud, right, that they get from the planet that they're on, and then they use that like in their religious rituals. Like that was just so it just, there's so many cool things I think that they're missing when they're not, you know, publishing those types of books for underrepresented groups. It's really interesting.
I really, really like that. Yeah. That I got a lot of that in Chandera too. Like there's a lot of uh like for example, I say right on my website, the fantasy genre is really tired, you know, it's a tired genre. However, putting a Native American guy in it as a hero in it, like as a brown Aragon, as I said, puts a completely new. I think we were I think we're having internet issues, but
Oh, that's good because you're back now. I paused it, so you're totally good. You can feel free to keep going, my friend.
oh, okay. I was just saying
Perfect time.
that yeah. Okay, that was perfect what you said about how it adds new things to the genre. Yeah, I say that right on the front of my website. Like the fantasy genre is really tired, but having a Native American guy, hero, putting him in there, it puts a completely new spin on it, you know?
It really does,
New,
yeah. And all the
really
cultural
fresh.
things you could use.
Yeah, like the way he talks to owls and stuff, and it's completely new, you know, and it just revives the genre. It's for everyone, you know.
Yeah, and there's just, that's really cool, by the way. I'm a big owl fan. And like really any bird of prey. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's a shame that, yeah, they're not more focused on, you know, that kind of thing. Um, or, you know, these kind of characters. But since you mentioned that, it kind of leads right in now to my next question. Like, what did you focus on the most or first when it came to world building?
First, it was the story, like the dinner scene. I don't know if you read book one, but the dinner scene is all started from that. That was that one page high school project, and everything just grew from there. At first, I focused on the characters. The characters are what meant the most to me because it was very earthly, very relatable, very human, but yet in a really distant, remote world in the future. Uh, so I had to world build around them.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, even like I basically had, yeah, no, just had to build a whole world, and just from my imagination, I read some books on world building, and I followed a chart too,
Mm.
and I just made the geography as I went. To make it simple, I thought I'd make just one big continent, you know, to make it
Mm.
simple,
Yeah, yeah,
since it's so early in their world history.
yeah.
Like us, you know, we had Pangea long ago,
Yeah.
millions of years ago. Yeah, all the continents were together. I just thought I'd make it like that, and because one of the creators of the world turns on the other creators and becomes like evil in Krokon, and so it would make sense that the world wasn't finished, you know, because one of the creators turned, and obviously there's a lot of Christian elements in that. You know, I got a lot of like Christian creation
Mm.
elements from that. So that's how I came with the continent all being one idea, plus made it simple, and uh it wasn't just one continent. I made like their Australia too, one big island in the bottom. But
Oh, that's cool.
that's how I built the world, and with the
A lot easier
people.
than continents, let me say.
What was that?
It's a lot easier. Sorry, it's just I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like I have two different fantasy worlds and two different settings, and like, yeah, like to I'd use a lot of incarnate, but like to try and make sure that the continental, I'm a geography minor, so like to make sure that the continents, right, like actually like fit and everything. It's just like on all the fantasy and sci-fi authors now are just like, yep, they feel that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I studied mapping too.
Oh, cool.
I worked at a museum, so that helped too, you know. Yeah. So the people, I made this where they crash in the world, a southern continent. I made it filled with indigenous people, like you were saying. I thought I'd add that element in. I did a lot of translation of old stories for my master's thesis, and so I learned a lot about pre-contact tribes.
Oh,
And yeah, so I put a lot of that in the book, and but then they make it to the north where there's like medieval castles and medieval people, and that's where they stay for most of the story. But the first part of the book was I made it indigenous. Um, yeah, but the indigenous people eventually join the rest of the society as they have. I don't spoiler alert, but when they have the big battle with they have the big battle with Crocon in the plains, big giant battle at the end of the book trilogy. The indigenous people join and help out, and
oh,
uh,
cool.
that was cool. Yeah, so that's how added them in. So I don't like that it took so long, but at the same time, I'm glad because I added all these elements from my life into the book that made the book like, wow, 100 times more meaningful than just another normal fantasy book. You know, there's elements of
Yeah,
old
yeah.
indigenous knowledge. There's magic elements. I study a lot of like wizard. I actually met a guy that even claimed to be a wizard, and he gave me some ideas. Modern
That's
day
interesting.
wizard.
Cool.
I know. I
Yeah.
met him on the bus. I was getting in my car. Like, okay. Well, I told him about Chandera, and he said, okay, if they're wizards, then do this, this, and this. Make sure they do. I was like, oh, okay. And I actually, as crazy as this guy was, I applied some of his ideas to the Wielders Guild, which is the wizard guild in the book, and
Yeah,
so yeah, you won't believe where I got a lot of the ideas from, just wild places here on Earth and real life. Yeah. Uh there's one more thing. Oh, the element of environment, like, you know, pre-industrial world, like, wow,
yeah.
this place is pure. They never got sick, and the water tasted pure, the food tasted pure because, you know, the world never had an industrial age. Uh, and the nature was really beautiful. So I added that in. And then Max and Alex, another spoiler alert, before they leave the world at the end of the trilogy, the three-book trilogy, they warn everyone, one day you might get visitors from outer space. It might be us, and your world will change forever, just to warn you, you know. And so there's elements of like contact with you know, like what happened with the settlers and Native Americans, contact and new world brought upon them. Uh yeah, so there was a lot of really deep, meaningful things that I added to the story. So in a way, maybe it's good it took so long to write it because
And
that way I wouldn't have added all these great things to make to deepen the story so much, you know?
no, I totally get it. My novella, my prequel novella number one's taken just forever, but like it's nice because like I thought it was good, and then my development editor Sarah Turner was like, nope, you gotta kind of pull back. In my opinion, I would do like at least two more drafts. So that's where I did a whole nother draft, and now I'm doing this next one. So yeah, but like I keep thinking to myself like, oh, it's taking forever, but like I can already see where like the changes that my two alpha readers suggested and her like it's all right, it's going to be so much better than it was. So it takes longer, but you know, it's kind of like a fine wine or a cheese or whatever you want to say, right? Like sometimes you just need the extra time or you know the experience or just sometimes time to marinate on it, right, to make a better story or to change a character or a scene to that hits a you know in a better way. So I know everybody wants to get everything out there, but sometimes it's better just to be a little patient and focus a little bit on intentionality, I guess. So I think that makes total sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was that. Yeah. I actually looked at the next question. I was listening to you too, but I actually think I
Oh, go
answered
right.
the next question about the magic
Yeah, go ahead.
systems. Yeah. No, yeah, I want to make sure that everything was good, and I had to give them some kind of religion, like a pre-Christian type of religion, and so
Yeah.
I actually uh, I did meditation a lot, and Buddhism,
Oh, cool.
and yeah, I made their religion like really Buddhist,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, yeah, to where it's just more like giving they're more like focusing on just a clear mind mostly, and not so much like spiritual morality and stuff. I mean, there is
Yeah,
crime in the world, all, but um, that's why I came with the religion idea.
that's cool.
Yeah,
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 right
yeah.
now they're doing that for games. They're doing like because we're teaching five what do you call it? 5 characteristics of advanced civilization. So they're like, we want to do a board game. I'm like, they all my kids every time they want to do a board game, and they don't realize how long it takes. So I'm like, sure. So I'm like, let's do this thing, like whatever. But yeah, like, but they're like coming up with their own religion first, right before the civilization. Um, with like the other complex institution stuff. So I'm right there with you. Like that's what they're literally like finishing up on Thursday for us is they're we have one that like worships water monkeys because they're on like
Wow.
an inner world with like lava and stuff. So water is really
Yeah.
precious to them. And they're like, yeah, there's water monkeys on the surface, but underneath where the people are, there's not. And my co-teacher and I are just like, sounds cool, whatever. Like you clearly know what you're doing, in terms of the course. So I don't know. I'm kind of anxious to see where they go with it, but yeah, I totally understand. And we're helping them come up with like 4 different religions right now. It's interesting though, right? So I tried getting one of them
Yeah.
to be like Buddhism, but they're like, "No, I want to do this instead." I'm like, "Fine, whatever." But so I'm glad you did at least. So that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I tried not to do anything on the fly. I tried to get like I used that chart and I tried to plan everything out. There was one thing that was done on the fly that turned out really cool though. Some of my characters, most of them are that goes to the next question, the character, how
Yeah,
did I
right
make the characters? And yeah, I'll answer that one too now.
on.
Most of them are based on real people actually,
Oh, that's
that
cool.
were yeah, that they weren't in my life long enough, so I really enjoyed their company. I
Hmm.
thought they were magical, amazing human beings I met in my life. And unfortunately, I don't know about you, but in my life, unfortunately, people like that don't stay too long and I don't see them much. And so I thought I'd put them in the book to spend more time with them.
Cool.
And
That's a great idea.
yeah, yeah. And as I said, I was escaping a heartbreak. So a lot of um what's in Alex is what I always wanted in a woman too, and didn't have had it a couple of times, but briefly, but yeah. However, to answer what you were saying about the world building, one thing that was done on the fly was from the character of Jenny Chang, who's based on a real person I met in high school. She's a
Mhm.
real person, and it's interesting. These characters have a life of their own and they actually give me ideas for the story. uh
Yeah.
Maybe because they really are people, a lot of them really are people in real life, but Jenny likes dogs, right? And she's, I
Mm.
miss my dog Max, and they're friends, and she's friends with Alex, and she says, I noticed there's no dogs in Chandera. I looked everywhere and I was like, huh, she's right. Like my own character is giving me ideas like, why isn't there
Get
dogs? And
that.
so
Yeah.
I actually came up with a really cool reason in the graphic novel. I wrote a graphic novel, by the way. I sent you the
Oh,
link.
cool.
No one can afford it right now because I made it through Blurb book, right? And they charge a minimum of $70, and I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
like at least $20 for profit. So it's like $94. So none of my fans, I have a small group of fans, none of them can afford it. Even my richest fan, which is he's a park ranger, he said he could, but I said, no, no, I don't want these. Let me try to anyways, I'm trying to cheapen that right now
Mm.
for everyone listening. But there's a prequel graphic novel I made
That's
about
cool.
what the creation stories and what happened all up until the aliens from outer space arrived, which is the humans from Earth. And uh, I explain what happened, why there's no dogs in the world, because the original witch 1,000 years ago that founded the covenant of witches under Kragon, she was a grouchy old woman in a medieval town that got scarred by a dog, a wild
Mm.
street dog. which I have a couple friends that actually happened to in Alaska. So that was inspired by real stories. And so she got scarred by a dog, and then when she becomes the Grand Witch of the sisterhood, the witch sisterhood, she makes it a policy of the witch sisterhood to kill every dog, you know,
Mm.
as a revenge, you know. And so that
Enemy
that
right off the bat. So
right off the bat, so that worked
yeah.
out really well as a really awesome prequel theme in the prequel stories. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
What we were talking about
Cool
appeal to
overall.
non-native yeah, we were talking about the appeal to non-native general audience. I think they'll love the prequels because it's just all there's no native people in there. It's just all yeah, the medieval world, how it came about. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. Um,
You could flip through like the first 15 pages. I sent it to you. Yeah. I don't know if you could show it on here, but yeah, I sent you the link. It took
I
me
could put the
all
link
summer.
I could put the link in the description. It might be one of those emails that didn't get to me in time. Everybody knows right now my email is just like it's just doing what it wants. It's kind of like my 3-year-old, right? It's just choosing to work when
Yeah.
it wants or listen when it wants, and it's like you only have one job, right? To receive and send emails. But yeah, I can put it in the description now because I'd like to check it out, and that way people can uh people can check it out. That sounds really cool. And that's like a great idea. Like I don't know why I didn't think of that. So I actually had a graphic novel that we were working on before the pandemic. So I had a local author. We were just going to do black and white. It's kind of like a Diablo, like the video game like story. I got like 3 friends who were veterans together who 2 stay behind in the last town that their empire got to basically when they forged it. And then the king or emperor or whatever, he sends their thief friend back to steal like an artifact, and then he releases like all these undead, and yeah, so we were like ready to go, and then the pandemic happened. So all we needed was a colorist for the cover. We were like ready to go. So that sounds, I actually am turning into a book now, like a trilogy. uh, but I think it would still be really cool to do like the prequel or something as a graphic novel. So I think that's really, really cool. And I think I'm going to have to try and do that now. I'm stealing that idea from you, my friend. That sounds awesome. So yeah, so I'll put that
Yeah.
in the description. I'll put the link in the description for people so everybody can check that out. That sounds really cool. I
Yeah.
know
And
we
it, oh, go
bounced
ahead. Go ahead.
around a little, but I think that you did a really good job answering some of these other questions. We got
Yeah.
about
Because
15 minutes. Is there anything else that you can kind of, tell us that you really want us to know, about like the magic system, the world building, or the characters, anything like that?
I think we covered everything, and I think I answered the last question about new projects. I don't have anything new, but I uh, I went in regards to sci-fi. Uh, the graphic novel is the new project, and we talked about that. That just came out. No one's even bought a copy, and
Oh, it just
because
came
like I
out.
said,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
it's
good.
really really expensive. Yeah, that's why no
Okay.
one's bought a copy yet. But it's really really good. Wow, I can't believe I made a graphic novel by myself thanks to AI. I've been flipping through it, and I was like, oh my God, I made this. Well, AI made this, but I made it too. Wow, that's cool. It's
Oh, that's
really
wild.
amazing. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. Um, yeah, doing a graphic novel now just sounds really cool. As a prequel, I never thought to do it as a prequel to books. So, but I see
Well,
that
only
really
because
really cool.
man, Daniel, I have to be frank, okay? I'm really burnt out with writing. I'm ready to
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I could
move
definitely
on, and
understand.
yeah, I want to move on, and I want to do filmmaking actually as a new art,
Oh, that's cool.
a new art medium. Yeah, yeah, and that's the reason I turned into a graphic novel because I was just too burned out to do another huge novel. Yeah, because
Yeah.
originally it was going to be a
Well,
big
that's what I'm
novel.
trying to get with some people to. I'm trying to get with some people. I just like. I want to be an illustrator. I always want to do a comic, and like I was so close before the pandemic, and that's like my buddy and I were just talking. I'm like, can you just like attach me to somebody who used to work for Marvel and like a bunch of other companies? I was like, can you just like find me some of these Kickstarter guys? I said, I just want to like help them write like even like one comic, right? Like, and then just like enter a Kickstarter. Like, I just think that I don't know. It's like a bucket list kind of thing. I just think that'd be really cool. But I totally get it. Yeah, like when you're writing a whole nother book, it's like that's just so many words. So
I
that's
know, I
like one day
know.
I want to get into writing comics on like Kickstarter or something and just you know
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
kind of go that way. like, I think that, I mean, I totally get it. I was just curious, what type of genre for film are you interested in?
Well, I'm writing. That actually answers another question. It's not doesn't relate to science fiction. My sci-fi book series. But I've written screenplays. Yeah. I've written screenplays, and uh, I told you about the challenges and the journey I took. I've been on trying to get published in the literary book world, and wow, Hollywood is like 1,000 times harder. I have a mentor. He's a producer and actor.
Oh, cool.
His name's Manny, and he told me on the phone. He said, "Matt, you have a better chance of getting rich in a casino than getting your script published in Hollywood." And I thought he was like um, full of it. And
Yeah.
now I'm painfully learning he's so right. Yeah, years later, I'm painfully learning he's right. And I have a surrogate aunt, and she has a brother that's been in Hollywood for like she's 30 years trying to make it as a
Oh, yeah.
screenwriter, actor, director, and didn't make it. And this guy was in Hollywood. And I asked her, well, what's his best advice for someone like me? And she said,
Hmm.
he said to turn your screenplays into books, because, and I
That's
didn't know what he
interesting.
meant by that, but yeah, but in light of what Manny said, that you have a better chance of getting rich in a casino, I was like, oh, okay, now I know what he meant. He meant that because since there's such a small chance of your screenplay actually hitting the big screen,
Yep.
maybe it's good to have it in book form, so at least your story will get out there. Like if I die and my screenplays never become movies, people will have it in book form to enjoy the stories. So I'm thinking about I want to do that. Turn all my screenplay. I have about seven
Hey, that's really
screenplays.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to turn them into short stories and publish a compilation of short stories based on my
Oh,
screenplay.
Kickstarter's really good about that because you could just do like everybody's doing an anthology now. Really bummed nobody invited me. But yeah, friends that are I got three groups of friends that are doing like their own Kickstarter anthology. I was like, God, that's because I was thinking about that recently. I was like, oh, I should start to do this, and then they like beat me to it. I actually have four groups of friends doing it. But yeah, they're like all getting funded and doing really well. One is about to fund Book of Spores with AJM Gibson, Fraser Armitage, a couple guys. So a couple
Yeah.
people I should say. But yeah, like I've seen people do it on their own too. Yeah, so I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea, right? I see people do that all the time. Yeah, because if you're just trying to run the cost, right, of doing it, like, because I think some people think Kickstarter's got to be like thousands of dollars, right? But like there are small projects, right? Like I've had friends go $1,000, but then all of a sudden they hit the goal and people keep sharing, and then they go up and hit all these crazy tiers and stuff. My friend Herman Stewart Engel did that. He needed like 2,000. He got to like 30,000 or something on the last one. So I always recommend anthologies. Like his was like his novel and
Yeah.
stuff, but I recommend that because like if you're like, hey Dan, you can get my anthology, like the ebook for $10 on Kickstarter, right? And I'm like, cool. Amazon, right? Is like let's say it's $2.99, right? But I like to back my friends on Kickstarter, right? If I can get a physical copy for 15 to $20, like I'll do that when I can, to get like a signed or stamped copy or whatever from you guys. But yeah, I always recommend that because yeah, like a lot of the tiers now, people are really creative with like fulfilling tiers and stuff. But yeah, I've seen a lot of anthologies, even just like single person ones, do really well on there recently. So it's really cool. I think that's a great idea. That's really cool. Turning screenplays into. I'm gonna ruin your friend's thing. You ready?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna ruin where he said, right? So I actually sold a screenplay at like 17.
Oh,
But
oh
here's the
man.
thing. I want to go back in time and punch myself because I thought I knew more than everybody else, right? So I had a Punisher like hero, right?
Mhm.
Vigilante, anti-hero, whatever. And it was really interesting. And my drama teacher, he was an actor and stuff. Speaking of trying to make it Hollywood, he had at one point had like a movie with like De Niro or somebody crazy, right? That like last minute got canned or something because that person who was famous, like their schedule got it was either De Niro or Pacino, I forget, got like rescheduled, so the whole movie got canned. Well, he was like, "Hey, I know some people, let me do this." So he went and then sold it. So I could have made $7,500 at the time, and then I could have gotten my foot in the door for writing period, right? He came back to me and goes, "Yeah, they want to change everything." So I said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like, this doesn't need to be changed. He goes, I would just do it. And then you could take the money or whatever. And now, like, 38-year-old me is like, you idiot. Like, you could have gotten your name on something, even if it never gotten anywhere, right? But they just gave me the money, right? Because a lot of things go to that first, stage, don't make it second and third. But I'm like, what an idiot. Like, I thought I knew more than everybody else. So I can't imagine trying to do that now. Like, it's so different now because they're so flooded with, just different stuff. But yeah, like 21 years ago, me, I can't wait to go back in time and punch him in the face and tell him how much of an idiot he was. But yeah, I have friends that are doing that, and they're just, it's really
Well,
difficult. I think it's
we're
difficult
kind
anyway.
we're kind of living in a really crazy time too, Daniel, where a lot of the power that publishers have in New York and a lot of the power that Hollywood has in filmmaking in Los Angeles is kind of getting decentralized now, because a lot of yeah, it's moving out. And Manny told me this too. He said it's moving out. Uh like a lot of YouTube influencers are becoming as big as movie stars just on their own, they're not with anything, and they get like hundreds of thousands of followers. And uh yeah, they become just as big as movie stars. And they didn't even go to Hollywood. They didn't even go to New York. And a lot of
Like,
these authors,
yeah,
like the third publisher I was with, I don't think he ever went with a major publisher, and he became successful as an indie author. So I think we're living in a really peculiar time where things are kind of like upside down with a lot of the traditional publishers and movie
yeah.
making.
I mean, you don't even need anybody because you could just, like, I had the three or four of the crew of the web series Ren Girl with the Mark, and they're on like their fourth season, and they just run everything through Kickstarter. So that's like something you could think about too, right? Is like attaching yourself to some of these indie Kickstarter projects for film and stuff, because they need people, and they'll pay for services and stuff too. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, I've seen Kickstarter, YouTube, TikTok, like so many things have changed the game from these traditional, yeah, like places where people would have to go, and like the gatekeeping is slowly starting to be opened, I think, which I think is a really good thing, because I think you'll get a lot more talent, and we'll get to see some things um, rather than the regurgitated movies from the 80s or something. But yeah, or all the remakes. Clearly they need some new ideas, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you said that. And I guess we get end with this. You asked about current projects.
yeah, go
I'm
right ahead.
actually writing some big genre movies. I don't know
Oh,
what will ever happen to them because, man, there's nobody writing anything in Hollywood right now. I mean, yeah, there's no good movies in Hollywood, period. Well, I mean, I thought it was just a problem with um not a problem, but I thought there was like a lack of representation issue was only in
oh, yeah.
American communities. But I'm finding out, and it's a problem overall in the general society. There's like hardly any good movies that ever comes out anymore. I mean, I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember the last movie that made me want to go to the theaters. I mean, they have horrible. I just don't. I don't like the writers in Hollywood, Daniel. Yeah, they haven't put
Well,
anything
Netflix, I
out.
would say like Netflix too has gotten if you're
I know
what's
Netflix is just
Zack
boring too.
Snyder's, yeah, like whatever he did, the two-part thing. I can't remember what the sci-fi science fiction fantasy movie was, right? Like, it was supposed to be the next Star Wars, and like it just wasn't good. The first movie, I couldn't even make it through the first 20 minutes. I was like, I only have 45 minutes to myself every night. Like, I'm not gonna keep. I just didn't feel the need to keep going. And I can't remember what it was
Exactly.
they were called. But yeah, I think that's the problem, right? Is it goes in, like, everybody gatekeeps or just says, yeah, we want these things, and I'm like, you say you want these things, not everybody does. And that's because how people ask me, like, how do you know that? Look at the rise of the indie community, whether it's board games, video games, comics, books, movies, TV. If people are willing to spend that much of their own money, to kickstart things, like they're going to spend their money in those arenas and those areas. So I think it goes back to them telling you that you're you need to go away from that representation. I'm like, to me, that makes it interesting. So
Yeah.
I think that they're leaving money on the table, I guess is what I'm saying. And they're leaving it to the indie community and Kickstarters and, and different
I
spheres.
know, and I never told anyone this, and I've done tons of interviews where I gave them the same answers I'm giving you, but uh, you're in for a treat because I have a really big confession I'm gonna give on this interview. When the writer's strike, the famous writer's strike happened in Hollywood a couple few years ago, right? I never told anyone this, but I wasn't that broken up about it, because I was like, well, these writers haven't really wrote anything that's worth, like, I mean, if for me personally, they didn't write anything worth watching. So this them all of them going on strike. Yeah, I don't I don't really see it as a horrible thing. Yeah.
I see it more as like what I here's my thing is like I've talked to other, writers and stuff, and it's really like the whoever's above them, right? Like it's the studios, right, that are saying they're like, we want Zack Snyder, we want this, we want that. And there's like a famous like skit, right, from like 4 years ago, where they're like, hey, give me Christian Bale, give me this, give me that. And they're like in a boardroom, right? And they just put like a generic movie together with like the same people and things. And it's like when I start to think about it, I'm like, that's all they're really doing, right? To like get us an attractive female lead, bam, and like they just like put
Yeah,
together three
that's
people to make a
true.
movie. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what, no
yeah,
offense, like I don't know if it was any good, but that was The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot, right? I heard she was dope, and I guess
yeah.
it was a good movie, but like that was like, but it's like that was like a typical, like Netflix
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's like a formula, like a really
Yeah, they're
solid
just
formula
formulaic.
that
That's the problem,
that,
right? Is
that
they're
the
not trying to be
studios
unique now. Yeah, they're
implement.
it's
Yeah. No,
it's
you're
all
right. That wasn't very fair of me. You're right. That wasn't very fair of me. You're
no, it's
absolutely
really
right. There's
fine.
like
And no, but
it,
I just want to point out that some people I'm sure were just, there's, and that's it.
yeah.
Books, right? Some people just write it. Like some
Well,
people
it's
come
it's
from the
it's not
opposite of the
completely
studio,
their
and
fault. It's not
they'll just
completely
change.
their it's not complete. You're absolutely right. It's not completely their fault. They're micromanaged by the studios to follow a set formula that
Just change.
guarantees like box office revenue and stuff. So yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah. So I'd like to retract my statement. That wasn't very fair of me.
Well,
I
but I
was
get what you're saying though. You're frustrated with the system though.
I'm frustrated with the writing. I'm frustrated. Yeah. Like when would I yeah.
I think it's a systemic problem because it goes back. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to wrap up from what you said earlier too, because we were talking about it goes right back to what we were saying at the start. They think that everybody wants this thing, but really we want this. And it's like, so
Yeah,
it just goes
exactly.
back to lack of representation, right? Lack of, because here's the thing, right? If you have a lack of creativity in your stories, right? Like from the studio point of view, right? From the writers, is then you're not going to get the better opportunities for the better stories that have more representation. And then those underrepresented groups are then not being represented because your story's not being represented because they don't need them, or they're being excluded because of the overall, like studios and what they think we want, or whatever they're trying. I don't know what they're trying to do, whatever they're trying to do. So I think it's a systemic problem that we hit on, and I think it makes total sense. So, but in books, and I think it's, they're doing better in traditionally published stuff. I think, Rebecca's a
Well,
great
yeah, it's
example of
way
that, but they're
well,
not
it's
as
way
much. I think it's still a huge issue, because you even said, right? Oh, hey, we want you to go away from this representation. I'm like, what? Like it shows that it's still a systemic problem in media, just in general, with these bigger companies.
well, it's 1,000 times worse than that, what you just said, because the CEO of Tor that turned down Chandera, did did she forget about Avatar and how mega big a hit that was back in 2010? And the sequels are a big hit too. I'm noticing. Yeah, it made like the top 10 movies of all time, you know? It made one of the top 10 movies of all time, the top 10 most successful movies of all time, and that was Native American science fiction. So
Yeah,
are these people all forgetting about Avatar? Like there's a potentially gigantic market for this, and
I'll be honest. You put Native American in anything, I'm there. I'm just gonna be honest, right? Like if
yeah,
there are certain groups where I just find them fascinating, like, and like that's where I'm like, my friend was like, well, I don't know if I would write these. I go, I'm going to write those characters, because the whole point of me writing, right, is to bring what I'm interested in. I'm interested in other groups of people, and I'm like, I will find somebody to read it. I will find somebody to check to make sure, that I'm not doing token characters. Like, I'll just get better as a writer. But like, to just exclude those people from my stories because I don't have the skill at the time, or, don't have whatever, like, I'm going to make sure that I want everybody to be represented in my stories, and it might be like, this group is here and this whatever, but like, overall, like, I want to bring a bunch of different groups of people in, because that's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm interested in learning about. It's what I'm interested in reading. That's like what I'm interested, in terms of friend group. When I went to Michigan State, I took South Korean as a foreign language. They wanted me to take more Spanish. I was like, sorry, I took 2 years of Spanish. I can't roll my R's. If they had like any Native American language at the time, I would have taken it, but they didn't. So, but like, there was like, it was restriction, but like, South Korean sounded really cool. I did Taekwondo. I was like, let's do this. And I met a bunch of people from a bunch of different countries, and it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. So to tell me that representation doesn't matter, to tell me that we're going away from that, I'm like, cool, you do your thing, I'm going to be over here with the people and the things I like to learn and read about, so, and watch. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, something even cooler was when I made the language for the elves. I took linguistics in college, so I
that's sweet.
reapplied all that, and I
Oh, that's awesome.
actually added a lot of my own language, Gwich'in Athabascan. It's related to Navajo.
Oh, cool.
Like, yeah, our dialects are very similar to Navajo, and I actually incorporated a lot of that in the language of the elves. Yeah.
Awesome.
Where like it's European, it's like European traditional medieval people, but I made their language a little indigenous though, I thought I'd do a little cool mix like that, and
That's awesome,
it,
man.
yeah, yeah, so yeah. So I did a lot of like really new things with this genre, and yeah, it just bewilders me and just frustrates me that like a lot of the publishers don't see all this and are interested, they're, yeah, they're weird.
Yeah, well, there have been so many indie books though. Like, you would be surprised, and I'm not knocking on my traditionally published author friends. Like, I've had many of them tell me, like, they're having issues, or they don't like this, or and like, they're trying to make it like everybody, right? Because it is easier to get with a big company at times. Is what they're telling me. Other times it's not. Like, some want their characters back and want to go into their worlds and want to go back to indie, or go to indie, or and some people from indie want to try trad, whatever. I'm trying to do hybrid at some point. Take these characters here. You can change these, like you said, right? Like, I'll change these, sure. But there are other characters I'm like, I ain't ever changing them. Like, I have all sorts of groups of people represented in my fantasy for my Legends of Uma series. I've been working on it like you, right, for 20 something years. And I'm like, I don't want anybody touching it. And I won't listen to anybody, right, who wants to
Yeah.
change the
Oh,
passion stuff that's in there. Like, changing things that need to be changed within a book is different, right? But like, changing,
yeah.
like, that I have all these characters and different groups of people represented. If someone tried to tell me something, I'd be like, no, like, I would
Yeah.
just find a different person to help me. So I totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I heard like about me not compromising and turning down those publishers, especially that big one, that their big one. I just recently talked to this guy in the movie industry. He's a legendary martial artist. He was one of Joe Louis's original students. Joe Louis, in case no one knows, he's the founder of American Karate.
Yeah, yeah.
And this guy is like very venerable, very venerable, very honorable person in the martial art world and in movie world. He did tons of like stunts in Hollywood films. And this venerable guy, when I told him what I told you about how I didn't compromise, the first thing he said, "That's good, that's great, that's great. You didn't compromise. I'm really
Yeah.
happy. You should never compromise." I was like, "Thank you. To hear that from you, such an honorable person, that makes me feel way better because I'm still in squalor poverty right now because I held on to my vision." And it's interesting because the principal here at my hometown, he's secretly a struggling country songwriter.
Mm.
And I told him, like, his name was Mr. Green. I was like, "Mr. Green, I'm back here in my hometown in Alaska because I didn't compromise in New York." And he was like, "Oh, that was a big mistake. You should have compromised. It's all about compromise." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know. I know I could have been there, but I never told you this, but a producer wanted one of my screenplays, but again, he just wanted to rip it to shreds, change it completely. He wanted to put like an Asian woman in place of the Native American woman, and I was like,
Mm.
yeah, no, thank you. And so if I compromise, I wouldn't even have been here. I mean, no offense to you, Daniel, but I would have been here talking to you. Probably I'd be in the big times, but I didn't compromise, because I wanted the world to see my vision the way I wanted the world to see it,
I really
And
feel like karma,
this
though, man.
this legendary martial artist to confirm it. It just that was just last week when I talked to him, and
Oh, that's
it
cool.
just made me feel so good, Daniel. My birthday's coming up in about a couple of weeks, so I consider it a good birthday present.
That's super cool. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
awesome. Happy early birthday, by the way. I
thank
don't know.
you.
I know we're winding down on time, but I just want to say, like, I totally agree with him because maybe it's the martial artist in me. I don't know, but like, I
I
there's
studied martial arts
mechanics.
too. Yeah.
There's
Go ahead.
mechanics, right? Like, if somebody
Yeah.
wants to change the mechanics with how you're telling a story, right, or the lens of a character, POV, something, right? But I think to completely, yeah, for both those projects, for you to take out what made it what it is for you, I think is it goes opposite of what you should do, right? It shows, I don't know, I agree with him. I think I think you can compromise on some things, but vision, I think,
Yeah.
one that you really shouldn't. And just to like replace characters because they're token characters for them, to me, really cheapens the story. And in my opinion,
Um,
being a Buddhism, right, I believe a lot in karma, and I do believe that you keeping true to your stories and your characters, even if it doesn't, you know, pull fate, go like pay you back in, full fruition, in a year or 2 years. I do think eventually it will, though, because were trying to keep true to, the spirit of those characters and, groups of people that, need to be represented. So I think at some point that karma, will really come back to you, rather than just taking a paycheck. So I totally agree with him. I always try to think of things from that type of lens. So I totally agree with him.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and thanks for
Yeah.
the great interview. Yeah, thanks for your
That
support. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know we're winding down on time. I just want to remind people that you can check out Wolf's book and social links in the description of the interview. Anywhere you're watching, listening, anything like that. If you guys could just make sure, we're really trying to review products from our authors, creators, producers, anybody that you're really listening to, right? We want to make sure that we're reviewing those products. It's the thing that's going to help them the most, whether they're indie or traditionally published, or whether they're whoever they are, right? It really doesn't matter. So please make sure you guys keep focusing on that. Wolf, thank you so much. This was super fun. I needed this break in my crazy work week and wake day. I got
Thank
about
you.
another 30-40 minutes where I could head home, but I really appreciate the chat today. Definitely
Yeah.
de-stressed me. So thank you so much for
Well, you're
chatting.
welcome.
It was awesome.
Well,
I
can
look
I say
forward
one
to,
thing?
yeah, go right
Can I
ahead.
say one thing to the audiences? The thing I really want are customer reviews on Amazon. They help with exposure of the book. So, is anyone out there that wants to read and buy the book, please, after you read the book, please give a review. Even halfway through, just give a review. Whether they're bad or good, I don't care. Just reviews are great for me. I just that's all I ask of them. Yeah, yeah.
I think that's totally fair. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody here knows me, Wolf. They know I don't look at reviews, but other people do. So I was like, my friend goes, you should be actually really focusing on this. So that's why we focused on it for the last like 4 seasons, like 3-4 seasons. So yeah, we're going to continue to do that for you guys. But Wolf, if there's anything else I can do in the meantime, before this episode, goes out, or even after, like, we do have a Facebook group for the podcast. So you can always post stuff in there. I'll send you the invite if you're on there. But yeah, if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to do that. You can always send me stuff and I'll share it as soon as I can on everything. But yeah, let us know what we can do for you. It's not just me now. I got like 3,000 people in the podcast group, and they're just an amazing community that helps everybody out. But if there's anything else I can do for you, my friend, please just let me know. Okay.
I will. I will. Yeah. I just hope people read the book and enjoy it, and then yeah, if there's any book reviewers out there, yeah, please read the book so more people can know about it. And yeah, yeah. I know I'm like one in a million, but yeah, like my perspective is unique, as you and I just got done exploring the last few hour or so, and I hope people know that, and people are tired of fantasy or it's a tired genre, this book will give you a completely fresh take on it. I really think you won't be disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. All right. Well, thank you everybody
Okay.
for watching and listening. Wolf, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of the day. Okay.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day.